and welcome to Liberty and Gun Rights Podcast. My name is James Moffitt, and I'll be your host. Today is, I think, the 25th of February, 2025. So it's 2/25/25. Say that real fast backwards. I can't do it. No, 52/52/2. So anyway, February the 25th, 2025. So I'm coming to you today with a couple of updates, legislative updates. One is an alert that came to me from the John Birch Society, who I'm a member of. And I have several more from Conservatruth, which is a conservative think tank here in South Carolina. And their sole purpose in life, or I should say their sole mission in life, is to keep an eye on the many bills that are being presented to our legislators in Columbia, South Carolina. And they're paying attention to those bills which are anti-freedom or infringe on our liberty. In other words, we the people want to have more freedom and less government, right? And unfortunately, some of these bills, or a lot of these bills, are being passed because big government in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina specifically, they are trying to control many aspects of our lives through these bills, right? Which is ridiculous. And unfortunately, a lot of these bills get passed because us workers, us blue collar workers and white collar workers, guess what? We're working and making money so we can pay our bills and our taxes, for God's sake. Taxes that are exorbitant and ridiculously high and are being wasted. Just as they're being, just as Dodge in the federal government is exposing poor government efficiency and wasted federal tax dollars, that's what Conservatruth is doing here in South Carolina for Columbia. So without further ado, let me share the email that I got from John Birch Society. So it says we need to make a few more calls. If you don't, they won't move on. Freedom Caucus Representative Rob Harris is loud and clear on a radio call about 3431 social media participation restriction. Let me read that again. Social media participation restriction. Although advertised as child protection, this bill would create proof of identification requirements for online access, making digital a tool for CCP-inspired social credit scores and surveillance necessary. We don't need a nanny state, just better parenting. This bill just passed in the House, and only a few brave souls voted against it. Tell your senators to contest this bill. Let me open this up a little more. I'm trying to open this up so that you will see it. And let's do this. Let me see if I can. Okay, here you go. I'm moving my screen around so that you can see what's going on here. And I'm going to try to make this a little larger. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, you can actually watch the podcast. So anyway, State of South Carolina, Representative Gil Gatch, Republican in Dorchester County, District 94. His phone number is 803-212-6871. Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter, Democrat, Dorchester County, District 95, 803-531-1257. And the extension is 803S. I'm not sure what S stands for. 803-2448. I don't know. Robbie Robbins is a Republican in Dorchester County, District 97, 803-212-6973. Chris Murphy, Republican, Dorchester County, 803-212-6925 or 843-832-1120. Representative Marvin Mark Smith, Republican, Charleston District 99, 803-212-6719 or 843-442-83 It cut off. I don't have the rest of that number. But 803-212-6719, that's going to be the South Carolina in Columbia. It'll be at the State House. Harriet Holman, Republican, Dorchester, District 102, 843-563-0196. Or you can write her an email at hholman@dorchestercounty.gov. Representative Tiffany Spann Wilder, Democrat, Dorchester County, District 109, 803-212-6721. Or 843-266-7792. Representative Gary Brewer, Republican, Dorchester County District 114. His phone number is 803-212-6948 or 843-214-517. I don't know, it cut off. Jordan Pace is a Republican in Latson, District 117, 803-212. I should be able to make this larger for you to see it, and that's just not happening, and I apologize for that. Hopefully you can go to the government website, c.gov, and just Google it. Who's my representative in South Carolina? And you can get a link that'll tell you all this information. But call Gil Gatch, Gilda Hunter, Robbie Robbins, Chris Murphy, Marvin Smith, Harriet Holman, Tiffany Wilder, Gary Brewer, or Jordan Pace. These are the representatives that in our area that we need to communicate with, right? Let me see if I can... Snipping tool. Let me open up my snipping tool. Forgive me for this. And I will say if I can make this a little bit larger for you to see. How can I enlarge this? I don't know if that's a little easier for you to see. I just use my snipping tool to zoom. Here we go. I can zoom in, and I can zoom in some more. Zoom in. How about fit to window? Let's see, zoom. How about fit to window? No, that didn't work. Zoom in. So that's the largest I'm going to be able to make it. So hopefully you can see these numbers, and you can call your representatives and talk to them about H3431, social media participation restriction. Tell them to vote no on that. All right, so now for Conservatruth, excuse me for clearing my throat on air. So here's from Conservatruth, and you can see this if you're looking at your screen. Exciting news. We're thrilled to unveil our brand new email update design, blah, blah, blah. It looks wonderful, Conservatruth. You can read about it in their blog by clicking on this. If you're not a member of Conservatruth, you can sign up for free and get their email alerts and newsletters. While your voice matters now more than ever, before we dive into legislative updates, we need to say this. It's more important than ever to get involved. A lot of bad bills are passing, and the voices of the people are either ignored or drowned out by those with personal interest in these bills. Your informed voice matters more than ever. Read that again. Your voice, my voice, matters. And our representatives in Columbia are not going to have a clue about what we think about these bills unless we communicate via postcard, email, a physical visit to the South Carolina State House, emails, voicemails, telephone calls, all of the above. However you're comfortable communicating, pick one and do it. So what's happening in legislation? 62, Education Scholarship Trust Fund, or ESTF. The House made several major changes to S62, and none of them are good. The bill reverted to its original name, Education Scholarship Trust Fund, ESTF, but instead of being funded through the South Carolina Education Lottery, it will now rely on general fund appropriations, making it fully dependent on the state budget. The bill is set to phase into a universal program by 2027 and 2028, eliminating all income caps. To make it appear legally separate from direct government funding, the House added a trustee a third-party administrator appointed by the South Carolina Superintendent of Education. In reality, this changes nothing. Now the bill heads to the House floor. But don't forget, the Senate version is still in play, and once the House finishes chopping it up, the Senate has to agree, push back, or send it to conference committee where the real backroom deals happen. The Republican majority committee voted 13-4 to push this bill forward. South Carolina conservatives, this is not a conservative bill. So I'm talking about S.62, Education Scholarship Trust Fund. S318, Government Efficiency. We have a fun article on this one. S318, the bill that creates government to cut government. Spoiler alert, it's not about efficiency. S.2, the Health Czar Framework. This bill was amended, and it seems the Senate Medical Affairs Committee removed the so-called medical freedom provisions. That's actually a good thing, since those parts didn't belong in this bill and were never a solid addition. Bill 54, Medical Consent Act. This bill is about medical informed consent. Or is it? S54 is scheduled to be heard in the Senate Medical Affairs Committee on February 19th at 10 a.m. Click here to read our brand new articles on S54. It's a featured blog post. Okay? So let's go to the, let me see, can I go to the blog post? Click here to read it. So, okay, so I clicked on the blog post. All right, so as you see, or will see here in a moment, if you go to conservatruthblog.com, up here, you can, I don't know if you can see it or not. If you're just listening, go to conservatruth.blog or blog.com. That's CONSERVA truthblog.com all together, right? And there is an article that talks about medical freedom. S54, the medical informed consent, the right to say no until you try. The S54, Deception and Entrapment, a Safety Net or a Trap by Meg Johnson. So anyway, that's the blog, conservatruthblog.com. All right. 3431, South Carolina Social Media Act. If you haven't heard, the House passed this bill this week, and it's now headed to the Senate. Yikes. This bill sets a dangerous precedent for government control over online activity. So let me open up the blog, and let's read it, just for grins. One question, 3431, South Carolina Social Media Regulation. So, there we go. Think 3431 is a wonderful idea. Okay, then let's have public schools run so efficiently and effectively by our wonderful government, help our children protect themselves from the dangers on the internet, specifically social media. One simple question: how has government education in social and moral areas worked out for us so far? To answer that question, a brief look at self-evident, documented, historical outcomes of two programs are enlightening. Although first proposed by the NEA about 1912, during the 1960s, sex education became a highlighted initiative in public education, ostensibly to ensure that children would understand the workings of their bodies and be comfortable with their natural development and changes. As predicted by many, this quickly devolved into teaching about sexuality, lifestyles, and more. How has sex education worked out for us? In this brave new world, we see the results. It would be interesting to know the exact number of genders now in existence, but 100 might not be an exaggeration. As an aside, in the early days of the homeschooling movement over 50 years ago, this initiative in the public school system was often included on a long list of reasons as parents realized public education is not safe for children. Following the introduction of sex education programs came drug prevention school programs. Again, look at the history, lest we repeat it, though nowadays that adage seems to have fallen into disrepute. How has drug prevention education worked out for us? We are so saturated with illegal and legal drugs nowadays, it is all but impossible to find anyone not regularly using some form of chemical management. Sometimes abuse of even illegal substances is enabled through modern law, providing addicts clean needles. The fatal evidence of drug abuse is everywhere. This predicted outcome was another common thread among those seeing the evil developing within public education. Why didn't these programs work? Or did they work? Just not to achieve the goals most people thought they were designed to reach. Both of them certainly changed in dramatic and devastating ways the society in which we now live. The dangers inherent in such government-controlled programs cannot be overstated. Such programs allow the introduction of information and influential presentations of a lot of information, knowledge, temptation, methodology, very helpful for children who decide the topic is worth pursuing outside than the classroom, misdirection and other dangers that the immature minds, bodies, and emotional development of children are not ready to properly internalize for their own benefit or safety. All right, I didn't write this article, and I'm not going to finish it because it's rather long. It was written by Meg Johnson on February the 25th, 2025, which is today. And you can go to conservatruthblog.com to read it. Okay? Conservatruth is a conservative think tank that previews all these many pre-filed bills that were filed December the 5th, 2024 last year. And Michelle and her husband and several other people in the organization, that's what they do all day long, is they read these bills, they summarize these bills, and they communicate to us. Let me turn this off. They communicate to us, or we the people, what we need to do. We need to be aware, we need to educate ourselves, and then we need to communicate to our representatives and say, hey, we're not blind, we see what's going on, and we do not agree with this law. Please vote against it. Okay? So it's up to us, right? Please join Conservatruth. You can donate $5 or $10 to their political action, their PAC, PAC, whatever that stands for, political action, something or another. And you can also be a paid member of Conservatruth, and I'm sure you get a lot of benefits from that other than just getting an email alert. It's a little bit on the pricey side, but if you can afford to do that, it would go a long way into supporting Conservatruth and what they're doing. Okay? So this is a short video. It's only going to be about 20 minutes long, but I wanted to get this update out to you so that you can take action. So that's what I mean. Take action. Read it. Don't take my word for it. Go to Conservatruth. Go to the South Carolina government website and read these bills. And if you don't agree with them being passed, then it's up to us to communicate to our representatives what the will of the people is, or the will of the people are. Which one is it? Are or is? I'm going to pick are. The will of the people are important. So anyway, this is coming to you live from Liberty and Gun Rights Podcast. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will do further announcements via the podcast so that you're kept informed. All right? Talk to you later. Bye-bye.